Terry Walker is a survivor. A woman with a terrifying past.
To be honest, it was such a far-fetched story that they kind of thought I was making it all up.
But no imagination could conjure this shocking truth. Or the identity of the killer.
She was my mom. She's my mom.
"20-year-old Susan Noir always enters the family home with trepidation.
So you decided to come back, have you? Huh? And just look at you.
Her younger sisters, Sheila and Terry, are on edge too.
Look at this piece of trash. Shut up!
My mom's personality was Jekyll and Hyde. One minute she could be the most loving person in the world, the next minute you were scared you were gonna die.
You see that? Are you gonna grow up and look like her, are you?
Her sense of discipline and abuse were so far out of whack that it's just unbelievable.
For years, Teresa Noir has been abusing her 3 daughters, mentally and physically.
She's burned my back with cigarettes, she's put guns to my head, she's held knives to my throat, handcuffed me and beat me.
Hold her, Bonnie.
Teresa spares her 2 sons. They're encouraged to help the torment.
She liked men, but she didn't like women at all. She was jealous of her daughters. She enjoyed controlling them, controlling the house.
There was nothing in her mind but hatred, just sheer rage.
And today, that rage escalates to a place it's never been before.
My brother Robert was standing behind Susan, holding her back. My sister was fighting to get away. And my mom pulled the gun out and shot her.
What could drive a mother to shoot her daughter?
She was delusional and paranoid. And people that are delusional and paranoid should not be raising children. They are dangerous.
Teresa's terrifying delusions are symptoms of a mental illness. She's schizophrenic.
Schizophrenia is a mental illness that is believed to be some kind of genetic defect, chemical imbalance. People that get treatment can see symptom relief from the delusions. But Teresa wasn't getting treatment. And it grew, and it festered, and it became worse.
She believes her daughter's youth and their beauty are destroying her.
She thought her daughter, Susan, had cast a spell on her, and that spell was making her gain weight.
Teresa thinks a bullet will stop the spell.
Teresa felt that Susan was the devil. She would try and tell the other children that she could see horns coming out of Susan's forehead.
Susan isn't dead. She's seriously wounded, with the bullet lodged in her back. Her mother decides to let her live, but no one calls a doctor.
They were afraid of her. They were brought up under her violence. They weren't going to go to the authorities.
In the Noir family, a trip to the hospital is out of the question. Susan is left to recuperate in the bath for 2 weeks.
The siblings are Part of them is thinking, well, better her than me. They grow up with this. They really don't understand that this isn't how life is in every household.
Incredibly, Susan makes a full recovery. But she knows she must leave her abusive mother.
My sister Susan would literally beg my mother, Mom, please just let me go, I'll do whatever you ask, just let me go. And my mom told her that if she let her take the bullet out of her back, that she'd let her go.
The price of Susan's freedom will be home surgery by her mother's hands.
I can see the top.
She wanted to remove the bullet that was lodged in her back because she didn't want, at some time in the future, for this bullet to be discovered and for law enforcement to come back and arrest her.
My mom laid her on her stomach.
Here we go.
And she pulled the bullet out of my sister's back.
Hold it. Here she comes.
Why in the world Suzanne said okay to that is beyond me, but it does speak to the complete domination and control through fear that those children had of their mother. That promise of getting away was worth it.
Instead of gaining freedom, Susan becomes gravely ill, sliding into a coma as her body fights infection from the kitchen surgery. What comes next will be almost relief.
Taking her and her possessions, putting her on top of all of her possessions, pouring gas on her, lighting a match.
In Sacramento, California, Teresa Noir makes her sons build a funeral pyre. Driven by schizophrenic delusions, she has already shot her daughter, then cut the bullet out. Now, she wants to burn her body.
My mother thought that my sister had actually died when she pulled the bullet out of her, and that her body had been possessed by some evil spirit or a demon. In order for her to purge that evil spirit out of my sister's body had to be burned. All of her possessions and her had to be burned in order to free her soul.
But Susan isn't dead. She's in a coma. Her mother is burning her alive.
No! Mama, shut up!
With Susan gone, Teresa turns to her next eldest daughter, Sheila.
She would force feed her. And if my sister wouldn't eat it all and would get so sick from being force fed, my mother would make her eat that food with the vomit in it.
Crazed by violent delusions, Teresa thinks her daughters are making her ugly.
Teresa's very existence as a woman was threatened by the presence of her daughters. She believed they were hurting her, that their youth, that their beauty was actually hurting Teresa.
I'm gonna climb up the shelves and get to the light.
Youngest daughter, Terry, is forced to witness each brutal act.
I'm gonna get to the light.
In the height of summer, Teresa locks Sheila in a closet
I'm gonna get up to the light.
without food or water for over a week.
I'm gonna climb up and get to the light.
She kept saying she was crawling towards the light. She was gonna crawl towards the light.
I need a drink. Drink? Alright, okay, go drink.
My mother left the house.
She's not.
I don't know exactly how long she was gone. It wasn't very long at all. And she left me there. And I tried to give my sister a beer. And my sister had explained to me she didn't want that. She wanted some water.
Water. Alright, I'll get you water. I'm coming.
Before I could get back to her with the water, my mother was pulling up. So I had to leave her there.
Beaten and bound, Sheila dies at just 20. Before she passes, she warns her little sister.
She told me, Mom killed Susan. And Susan told me I would be next, and I am. And she said, and when Mom's done with me, she's gonna kill you.
Terry finally decides to leave. She runs to authorities, but her story is so grotesque, no one believes her.
I had told police officials, I had told a lawyer who went to the police in Sacramento, nobody believed me. So I was starting to doubt myself even.
In time, someone began putting the pieces together. Detective John Fitzgerald has 2 unsolved murder cases that seem to confirm Terry's story.
One involved a young lady that was located along the highway. She was on fire at the time.
We're gonna put your sister in this box.
The other case involved a young lady that approximately 1 year later was discovered about 5 miles away at the edge of a small lake, and she had been placed in a box.
John Fitzgerald is my personal hero. He is the detective that kept the case open. He's the detective that ultimately came to my house and listened to me.
Terry told me that the 2 ladies who were killed in our area were her older sisters. She told me her mother was responsible for these 2 killings. In my mind and in my heart, I felt this was very valid information. She was telling me some things about these 2 crimes that nobody would know unless they were had some very close connections to them.
Terry's testimony and Detective Fitzgerald's tenacity end Teresa Noir's reign of terror.
We obtained arrest warrants for the mother, Teresa, and for the 2 sons, William and Robert.
Son, Robert, is given 3 years jail. William Noir is placed on probation. Teresa pleads guilty to both murders. Her mental state doesn't alleviate her punishment. She's currently serving consecutive life sentences.
Did Teresa love her children? At times, she probably did. But far more powerful than any love she might have ever felt for her daughters was the delusion that developed that her daughters were a threat to her.
Terry Noir serves her own life sentence. Still affected by the horrors of her childhood and torn by the love that every daughter feels for their mother.
There's nothing she could ever tell me that would ever make me understand why she did what she did. But forgive her? Oh yeah, I forgive her. And I do love her. I always have. She's my mother. That's it.
On a lonely highway, a killing spree is over. 11 people are dead, and 2 teenage rebels are under arrest. One of them is a 14-year-old schoolgirl, Carol Fugate.
He kidnapped me. I had nothing to do with killing them people.
Carol Fugate's story consistently has been that she was an unwilling hostage and not an accomplice, and she claims that to this day.
Is she truly an innocent hostage, or was her finger also on the trigger?
There was a term for her: high-tempered and easily angered and violent. I just think that once wasn't enough for her.
Lincoln, Nebraska, 1958. Carol Fugate is a sullen teen.
How you doing? Come on, give me a hug. Ah, that's it. Oh, baby.
People said that she was a little snip and unevenly tempered.
Go and clean your room. I want you to make your bed now, young lady. I won't say it again.
Who cares if I make my bed?
I do. Now go and clean your room.
She didn't practice much self-control. You know, she did pretty much what she wanted to.
Sister's been a naughty girl.
She didn't like her parents very much, but that's not so unusual for a 14-year-old girl.
What is unusual is her choice of boyfriend. Charlie Starkweather is 19, a loner who worships James Dean.
What he liked about James Dean was his sense of James Dean having a solitary, lonely existence and didn't fit in with the world.
By the time Charlie was in his teen years, he hated society. He has said that he would like to live in a world where only he existed.
It's a dangerous liaison with a deadly secret. Charlie is an unstable killer.
He just had kind of a wild look. Something about his eyes that seemed to frighten people.
He shoots a man in a gas station robbery and gets away with it.
He felt good about killing. It made him feel powerful, and his self-esteem went up.
Author William Allen says Charlie and Carol became a frightening combination.
They both felt that they had met somebody who was like themselves. She was a dominant female, very aggressive and hostile. I think when two dominant people bond like that, they become so much bigger and more dangerous than they would be alone.
Carol's family is now in danger. The truth about what happens next depends on who you believe.
Charlie got in an argument with Carol's mother, and she said, "We don't want you to ever come back here anymore." He started arguing with her, and she started slapping him around.
Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Get out of the way! Get out of my house!
According to Charlie, he kills Carol's stepfather, with Carol happily at his side.
And then shot Carol's mother in the side of the face at point-blank range.
Carol Fugate has a different story. She says she came home from school that day to find her family missing.
Charles told her he and his gang, as he described it, had taken her parents and half-sister hostage, and that they were going to, I believe, rob a bank or something, and that her parents would be released after they accomplished this. So that's how he was able to keep her in the house for this approximately about a week.
For the next 6 days, the couple stay holed up in Carol's house. A simple note keeps the world at bay. Charlie Starkweather has created his own paradise.
Charlie is known to have said that the 6 days following the massacre of Carol's family, where he and Carol drank soda pop and threw knives for practice and made love all over the house, were the happiest days of his life. What does that tell you about this man's life?
Fearing the police, Charlie finally takes Carol out of the house, onto the highway, and into a cross-country murder spree.
I think once Charlie started killing, he couldn't stop.
It will make him more famous than his hero, James Dean, and put Carol in the middle of a mystery. Is she a hostage or a killer?
She was willing and able to do anything that Charlie wanted to do. She was even, in some ways, more violent than he was.
In rural Nebraska in the 1950s, it's not unusual to pick up hitchhikers, even when they carry guns.
Hey, I was just wondering if we could get a lift about 5 miles down. We were just doing some hunting about a mile back and...
Charlie Starkweather has just shot the owner of a nearby farm. Victim number 5. Carol Fugate is his hostage. Young sweethearts Bob Jensen and Carol King have made a terrible mistake.
They were the polar opposites of Charlie Starkweather and Carol Fugate. They were honor students. He played football. They went to church.
Get out of the car! You too, sweetheart! Honey, Tim, you first!
They were the ideal teenager of that period, and they became the victims.
Just get out there! Move it downstairs! Take the car! Take it! I have to do it!
The fate of Bob Jensen and Carol King still haunts former reporter Del Harding.
I arrived with the law enforcement officials looking down in that storm cellar, and here's this half-naked body of Carol King and the bloody body of Bobby Jensen. I can close my eyes and see that just like it happened yesterday.
Turn around!
Charlie admitted shooting Bobby Jensen 6 times. Just bang, bang, bang.
But with this murder, something came out of Charlie that hadn't been seen before, and that was an aggressive sexual nature.
Charlie took Carol King down into the cellar, and he was down there for 15, 20 minutes, something like that. When he came back up, Carol was furious
What the hell have you been doing?
because she thought he was having sex with Carol King.
You raped it, didn't you?
What happens next is still in dispute.
I can tell you, lad.
Charlie Starkweather later swears that Carol goes into the cellar alone.
He heard a gunshot from the cellar. Carol came back and told him that Carol King had tried to run, so she had to shoot her.
When her body is found, it has been horribly mutilated.
Carol Fugate supposedly took a knife and carved the private areas of Carol King.
It was a savage, savage attack on her female anatomy. Usually when we see that, where it is a male and female couple killing people, that's often an indicator that the female partner did that, and she did it out of jealousy.
But is Carol Fugate's hand really on that knife? Is she an accomplice or a terrified hostage?
She stayed in the car. She had no place to go. She was out in the middle of nowhere, middle of winter, and she was just frozen with fear. She thought she was going to be the next victim at any time.
James MacArthur's father, John, was Carol's defense attorney in 1958.
It's always been the belief, both of my father and myself, that Carol has been totally innocent of this. Carol realized very early on, she told me, that there was something mentally wrong with Charles, and she wanted to break up with him, and that, in fact, is what appears to have precipitated the entire tragic events that followed.
It's Carol's rejection that sends an unstable teen over the edge. Dragged along for the bloody ride, she's too terrified to escape.
Carol, 14 years old, she was with a person that she realized was a madman that she had seen was able and willing to kill somebody, literally at the drop of a hat.
It certainly wouldn't be unusual for a person taken hostage by a killer to remain with them because they were afraid they'd be killed. That's totally understandable. I'm not at all sure that's what happened in this case. There are too many discrepancies, and there are too many statements from Carol that are quite simply unbelievable.
It's only when Charlie surrenders to police that she runs to safety.
You kidnapped me. I had nothing to do with killing them people.
By then, there is a trail of 11 dead behind them. Charlie Starkweather pleads guilty and is sentenced to death. He also implicates Carol. Found guilty of first-degree murder, she gets life in prison.
I felt the same way as her jury did. She was a willing accomplice. Her demeanor, her testimony, all of that together, there was no doubt in my mind, and still is no doubt in my mind, that she was a willing accomplice and may have killed several of the people, the victims herself.
Carol was a very frightened person when I first met her, and she obviously felt that she was being wronged, that people didn't understand her. When I talked to her, and I was almost her same age, that seems to be her strongest thing that she wanted to get across, that this was a terrible wrong that was being done to her.
In 1976, Carol Fugate is released on parole. She still maintains her innocence.